There's one business model for 2024 that is slated for success. This is the business model that you've been waiting for that can finally set you up for the success that you've been wanting.
That's success. That's what we set out to do.
Now, everyone knows that online businesses are the close past, present, and future. Everything is online.
Everything's online now.
Every single store is going online. Brick and mortar stores are closing because of e-commerce. E-commerce makes it so much easier, so much simpler, so much cheaper to do business, and it gives you these massive profit margins because you really don't have any overhead costs. At most, certain e-commerce businesses are going to have inventory and storage costs. That's pretty much it. The rent that you're going to be paying as an e-commerce store owner isn't going to be the $10,000 a month that you have to pay for a brick and mortar store. No, your rent as an e-commerce store owner is simply going to be your subscription service for Shopify. This is what makes the e-commerce business extremely lucrative.
But it's all profit for me, baby.
And extremely easy to get into. Now, which business am I talking about exactly within the e-commerce world? Well, I'm not necessarily talking about just one. I'm talking about e-commerce arbitrage. Now, what exactly is e-commerce arbitrage? Same thing as regular arbitrage, buying low, selling high. But when it comes to e-commerce, there's a few different ways that you can do this. Primarily, there's going to be two ways. For one, there's dropshipping, and two, there's leveraging. Now, with dropshipping, all you're really doing is simply rerouting any orders that you get from your store to your supplier's store. That's it. There's really not much there is to it. And on top of that, it can be made a lot simpler, a lot more quicker, and a lot more efficient by implementing automation. So you essentially become hands off with the business. So all you have to do is focus your time on scaling your business and continue growing. Now, what exactly is dropshipping? So when it comes to dropshipping, this is exactly how it works. This is the simplest way that I can put it. You receive an order on your online store for a pair of shoes for $100. Instead of going to your garage, going to your office, or going to your warehouse and packing it up and shipping it out, what you're going to do is you're going to sign on to your supplier's website. You're going to place the order with your supplier, and you're going to tell your supplier to send it to your customer's address. Once they do that, your supplier is going to update you with the tracking number, and then you simply update your customer with that tracking number. That's pretty much all there is to it. Aside from that, all you have to do is answer a few different questions if your customer has any questions or concerns, and that's about it. Now, what about the second business model? Leverage. Well, what exactly are you leveraging? Simple. You're leveraging online services and online platforms that offer different services such as Fiverr and Upwork. Now, how does this work exactly? Well, you can start up your own business, you can start up your own company, and you can manage everything directly through your online website as well. In this case, being Shopify. So what you do is you simply go on Fiverr, you look for certain niches, or you look for certain services. So you can start offering certain services such as content creation. Let's say when it comes to content creators, you want to offer video editing, thumbnail services for YouTube, and maybe shorts creation, cutting down long videos into short clips. What's the easiest way to go about this? Simply go to Fiverr and hire somebody to do it, right? Well, a lot of people don't know about that. A lot of people don't know about Fiverr. So what you can do is you can leverage the Fiverr platform. So in this case, what you're going to do is you're going to look for certain sellers on Fiverr. You're going to check out their services. You're going to get a couple of samples because, of course, you need to make sure that they have quality work. And you're going to list those same services on either your own Fiverr account or your own Shopify account, and you're going to sell them at a markup. Now, whenever you receive an order, of course, you're not going to be doing the work. You're going to outsource that work to your employees on Fiverr. So let's say you find somebody that charges $10 for a YouTube thumbnail. You can easily charge $25 and you keep the $15 difference. Pretty simple, right? So how do we get started? So the first thing that you need to do in order to get started with retail arbitrage is simply have a clear goal in mind. What do you want to do? Do you want to start your own brand? Do you want to sell generic items? Do you want to sell pretty much any service and be the next Fiverr maybe? Or do you want to just make a quick buck? Either one of those is perfectly fine. At the end of the day, what you need to do is figure out what you want to do. What do you think is going to work best for you? Do you prefer to try and make a quick buck every once in a while? Do you want to see if you can start a brand that can start bringing in consistent income? Do you want to start a general store that can start bringing in consistent income? Now, that's not to say that making a quick buck can't make consistent income. I'll explain a little bit more in a second. But the first thing you need to do is figure that out. What do you want to do? Do you want to build a brand? Do you want to start a general store? Do you want to start a one product store? Do you want to start a niche store? That's step one. Then step two is to actually start that store. Now, there's a few different ways that you can start an online store. There's tons of different platforms online to choose from. For example, you have Amazon, eBay, Shopify, Etsy, Wix, WooCommerce, Redbubble, Mercari. There's literally an endless amount. But in this particular case, your best option is going to be with Shopify. And the simple reason is because Shopify is one, extremely versatile, two, extremely easy to use, and three, you don't have as many rules on Shopify than you would on on other platforms. If you're working with eBay or if you're working with Etsy, you're going to have to follow their rules. You're going to have to follow their platform rules, and you're very limited when it comes to your customization. Now, if you're working with Shopify, yes, there are certain rules that you need to follow, but it gives you a lot more creative freedom than some of these other platforms do. Shopify also makes it very easy to build your brand or your store around your niche, your product, or your needs. So let's say you decide to start a brand. You can go ahead and start your own website with your brand colors, your brand font, your brand logo, your products or your services, whatever it is that you want to do. On top of that, with Shopify, you also get access to a ton of other features, such as being able to start a blog. So you can create different blogs that can be relevant to your different products or your services. This is something that you're not able to do on any other platform, unless it's a platform where you make your own websites like Wix or WooCommerce. But Shopify is just a lot easier to use. It's a lot more beginner friendly as well. Now, let's say you want to make a quick buck. So one way to do this is by simply taking advantage of current trends or upcoming trends. So how do you do that? How do you figure out what's going to be upcoming? So one way you can do this is simply by going to Google Trends. Now, the one example I always use is swimsuits. Let's say you want to start a shop based around swimsuits, or you want to niche your shop around swimsuits. So the way to find out when swimsuits are going to be trending is by going to Google Trends. Once you're on here, you're going to look up swimsuits. And for the time range, I'm going to go ahead and switch this over from the past day, because the past day is not going to give us any information, to the past 5 years. Now, when we see the past 5 years, we can see a clear trend from year to year. You can see when the trend is at its lowest and when it's at its highest. And this is consistent throughout every single year for the last 5 years. So one thing that we can see from here is simply that around November or December, around the end of the year, is when the searches for swimsuits are at their lowest. But then around the middle of the year, around June, that's when they're at their highest. And this is clear throughout the entire year for the next 5 years. Now, how do we take advantage of this? Well, here around October or November or December, that's when you start to prepare your store for swimsuit season. So this is when you want to start stocking up and doing some product research on some new and up and coming items specific to swimsuits in this case. The reason you want to do this down here rather than up here is because you want to ride this wave up. If you start stocking up your store when you're all the way up here at peak season, then honestly, you have nowhere to go but down. Start stocking up your store on the off season, or at least towards the end of the off season, then you have nowhere to go but up. Now, as you can see, if you have a clear business or a clear niche in mind, you can simply look at the data through Google Trends to see when people are going to be searching up for that particular item or service. Now, of course, this isn't something that's going to be guaranteed every single time, especially with newer products or newer services, but this is definitely one way that you can start anticipating upcoming trends. Now, aside from starting your own brand or trying to make a quick buck with upcoming trends, another way you can incorporate retail arbitrage with your Shopify store is simply by looking for an evergreen niche. Look for a niche that never goes out of style, something that people are always looking for. Two perfect examples for this are going to be pets and kids. Now, those two are very closely related because a lot of people see their pets as their kids, but these are two completely separate niches. Do not sell them together. I mean, you can, but if you're going for a niche-based store, keep them separate. So the reason behind this is people are always having kids. And on top of that, parents spare no expense when it comes to the comfort of their kids. Also, kids always need something. Kids are always going to need clothes. They're always going to need different types of accessories like diapers or wipes. Like I mentioned earlier, people are always popping out kids, so there's always going to be a need for things like high chairs, baby carriers, newborn baby toys, towels, swaddles, you name it. Same goes for pets. People are always buying toys for their pets. Pets are always destroying those toys. Certain pet owners are always looking for pee-pee pads for their dogs. Others are consistently buying on a monthly or sometimes even a bi-weekly basis kitty litter for their cats. So these are all evergreen niches, and that's what makes all of these evergreen niches, the constant need and demand. There's no slowing down with these two particular trends, and there's a lot more others too. Now, when you actually start to settle down and figure out what you want to sell or offer, this is when you need to start taking a few things into consideration. Some of them being, what does your product or service offer? Does it provide some sort of value? Does it have some sort of wow factor? These two are extremely crucial for the success of your product or service. Wow factor and value. If your product doesn't have a wow factor, if it doesn't make somebody say, oh, this is pretty cool, then chances are they're not going to buy it, and they're probably just going to keep walking or scrolling. Also, if it doesn't provide any sort of value to somebody's life, then it's the same thing. People are going to walk away and they're not going to think twice. If you have both a wow factor and added value to one's life, then you have a winning product or service. Now, in this case, that's when you want to validate it. That's when you can go back to Google Trends and you can see if it's currently trending, if there is an upcoming trend for it, or if there's simply any demand for it. So if you're getting into the dropshipping space when it comes to retail arbitrage, one of the best places that you can go to find some best-selling products that have both a wow factor and add value to someone's life is going to be the AutoDS marketplace Marketplace and Winning Products Hub. Now, when it comes to the AutoDS Marketplace, this is what you can expect. So the marketplace is full of trending items, all of which are currently best sellers. They're all trending. People are searching for these. These are all backed by years of data and exclusively picked by professional dropshippers. Now, one really cool thing about using AutoDS as one of your suppliers is the fact that you can actually brand some of these different items. So when you come across one, like let's say this one right here, that shows customizable branding, what that means is that your item is going to be shipped with a custom thank you card with your brand on it. So if you're trying to build your brand, if you're trying to gain brand recognition, this is definitely one of the best ways that you can start doing that. A custom thank you note really adds to the experience of the purchase, and it leaves a lasting impression on our customers. It's a small little touch that customers really do appreciate. It gives your customers the impression that it's being shipped by you, even though of course we all know it's not because we're drop shipping, but that really adds to the overall shopping experience. Now on here you can find some items that ship fairly quickly. Some can even rival Amazon. So look at this one right here. This is a cat scratcher bed that actually ships within 2 to 4 business days, but that's not 2 to 4 days to actually ship out the item. That's 2 to 4 days for your customer to receive the item from the time that they place their orders. That is Amazon Prime fast. Now, not only that, but you can also check different bestseller sections. You can check the bestseller section on Amazon like this right here, where you find everything that people are currently looking for. And you know, when it comes to Amazon, everyone's on Amazon. So these are currently trending around the entire world. Aside from that, you can also go to other companies' bestseller sections, such as Walmart or Target's. Now, when it comes to leveraging certain services on, let's say, Fiverr, then you don't really have a bestseller section. But what you can do in this case is simply pick a niche, go to Google Trends, and see how it's trending. In which case, then you can start to decide whether that niche is worth getting into or not. So you can go with things like graphic design, digital marketing, video and animation, whatever it is that you see here, you can look up different niches or different sub niches and see if it's worth your while, see if it's worth your time. Really quick, what I mean by different sub niches is if you look under graphic and design, there's a lot of different services under that. So you have things like visual design, web and app design, logo and brand identity. These are all different ways to niche down even further. Now, speaking of design, that's the next thing that you need to do. You need to make sure that your website design is professional. You need to make sure that it looks good. You can't have one of those typical dropshipping websites where you sign on and everything is all over the place. You have a random logo with some name that you can barely pronounce. And when you start scrolling through the different product pages, you just have a bunch of different GIFs and just really, really small text, then some more images, and then some really big text. This is extremely disorganized, and it's really going to deter your customers from your website or from your services. They're not going to make a purchase if they see things like this. It's not professional. It doesn't give a good impression. And if you're trying to start a brand, this is not the way to do it. So you want to make sure that your website design is clear, clean, easy to navigate, professional. Now, the good thing is that Shopify actually makes it really easy to do that. They make it super simple to personalize your website, and they have a lot of different themes that can help you do this. Now, as you can see, these are all actually pretty expensive. They're about $360, but they have a lot of free themes as well. The ones that they have here for free are totally worth it. They are professional, they look clean, they look great, and honestly, most Shopify stores that you see out there are using a free theme. Now, if it's still not something that you're comfortable doing, or if you just don't really know how to design, if you don't think it's going to come out good, if you don't think it's going to come out looking professional, then get a professional to do it. Remember, in some cases, you might be leveraging different services on Fiverr, so you might want to test out those services as well. So for this, just go ahead and navigate over to fiverr.com, look up either website design or Shopify store design, and check out the different gigs that you see on here. See which one fits your style a bit more, and message the seller. Get started talking to them and see if they can help you out with designing your store. Now, this next step is primarily going to be for dropshipping. There could be some different services that could work with leveraging services on Fiverr, but right now the one we're covering is going to be specific to dropshipping, and that's going to be to implement automation. One way you can really start scaling your business is to start implementing automation wherever you can. When you automate something, you pretty much just make that process automatic. So what AutoDS can do for you is simply automate almost all of the different processes of your dropshipping store. One of the ones that's going to save you a ton of time is going to be your product importing. When it comes to importing different products, you can do it manually. You can do 1 or 2 different products and it'll take you 10-15 minutes. That doesn't sound that bad, right? But imagine if you're doing 10 products. If it really does take you 10 to 15 minutes to upload 2 different products, which honestly, that's actually pretty conservative. It might take you a little bit longer, but if you are pretty quick and you do it in 10 to 15 minutes, to upload 10 products, it's going to take you about 2.5 hours. That's a long time. You can see how that can really start to add up, especially if you want to add more and more products. 20, 30, 40, 50 every single day. You can see how that can really start to take up a lot of time. Now, the way to do this is simply by signing onto your account over at autods.com, which if you don't have an account right now, you can get started for just $1 for the trial period. But after you sign up, sign on, and connect your store, all you have to do is go ahead over here, click on add products, and you can add either single or multiple products. For this, I'm going to show you the multiple because we want to add a lot of products. Now here, all you have to do is simply paste in the URL or the link of the different products that you have. So let's say, for example, I want to import this product from Amazon and sell it at my dropshipping store. I'm just going to copy that link, run it over to here, paste it, and you can see here it changed the supplier source to Amazon, and the region is United States. So it's shipping from the US. Then you just simply click on next, and these items will be uploaded to your draft section on AutoDS. From there, you can make any necessary adjustments to the titles, the description, the images, anything you need to optimize. And after that, they'll be ready to upload to your store within minutes. So the entire process to upload the different products is very, very efficient and very fast. This is something that's going to turn 5 hours into 1 at most. And even then, that 1 hour that you're going to be using is simply going to be to rewrite different descriptions and titles. Because trust me when I say, if you're sourcing from some of these Chinese suppliers like AliExpress or CJ Dropshipping, their titles and descriptions are very bad. Aside from that, you can also automate your order fulfillment. So for this, you can use something like Fulfilled by AutoDS, which is a fantastic service. What ends up happening here is once a customer places their order on your store, AutoDS is going to take that order and automatically reroute it to your supplier. And on top of that, they're going to sign on using their credentials, so you don't even have to touch your account. You never have to sign on to your Amazon account. You never have to sign on to your CJ Dropshipping account. AutoDS will sign on to their accounts to source your products. Then once that's done, in order to actually pay for that product, it's going to use a balance that you top up. Once your supplier marks the item shipped and provides a tracking number, AutoDS will provide that tracking number to your customer as well. And if you want any updates or you want a visual representation of everything that's going on, just click on the orders tab, and here you can see all of the different orders that have been placed on your store. You can also see the different statuses. Like here you can see that this one is simply pending, a few have already shipped, one is awaiting payment, and the others have already been delivered. So once you have your building blocks or your foundation set, the next thing you need to do is start marketing your products and your services. A few of the best ways to do this is using Facebook ads, organic marketing on TikTok, and influencer marketing. So for Facebook ads, we have an entire free ebook that can guide you throughout the whole process. If you want access to that, just go ahead and comment down below, #Facebook ads, and let me know which type of business you want to start. Do you want to start a dropshipping business? Do you want to start a business where you leverage different services? And also let me know what niche you're thinking of getting into. This is something that I'm actually really curious about. I want to see what all of you are thinking about getting into, and let me know why. So if you want access to the free ebook, just go ahead and comment down below. Aside from Facebook ads, TikTok is definitely the next best place to go. Facebook ads and TikTok have two completely different demographics, so you want to make sure that you tackle both. Now, when it comes to TikTok, you have to get creative. TikTok is user-generated content, and you need to keep people's attention. On top of that, you need to keep it in a pretty short time period too. So you need to jam-pack your videos with as much information or entertainment about your product or service as possible. One great way to do this is one that I've personally found success in, and that's by leveraging different trends and sounds. Let me give you one example. So check this video out.
How does this? I'll make a cup of coffee for your head. I'll get you up and going out of bed.
Turn into this.
Cut my life into pieces.
This is my last resort. So take, for example, you're going to be selling video editing services. Let's say you're going to be making long YouTube videos into short clips for people to upload to TikTok. Well, one way that you can do this and advertise it on TikTok is simply by using that audio. Start off with, how does this? And then show a long form video, or simply somebody just talking, and maybe just somehow show one file, and then go turn into this. And then you can show a screen with a ton of different clips, all taken from that one big video clip. Of course, they're all going to be playing at different points that were taken from that video, but that's one way that you can start to get creative with your marketing. Don't sleep on trends. Don't sleep on sounds. These can really make your services or your products go viral. Now, the last one that I mentioned was influencer marketing. And when it comes to this, it's super simple. You can either reach out to an influencer, reach out to a content creator, a TikToker, an Instagrammer, whatever it may be, and offer them your services or your product in exchange for a review. Sometimes you might have to pay them a little bit extra as well, but that's really going to all depend on their follower count and the influencer that you're working with. So for example, you can offer to send an influencer a product and have them make a video on it. Then they can post that on their social media and you can post it on yours. When it comes to services, you can offer, let's say, thumbnail services for a content creator on YouTube that teaches how to grow on YouTube. So you can tell them, look, I'm going to make you 5 different thumbnails. Just let me know what the video topics are. You go ahead and get those done through Fiverr. You send it to them, and in exchange, you just have to ask them for a shout out. Like I mentioned, the requirements for each influencer is going to vary, but these are just a few of the different ways that you can get started with influencer marketing. Now, at this point is really when you have to decide what you're going to do, when you finally have to decide what you're going to do. So let's say you have a general store and you're selling a little bit of everything, find out what products are actually selling, which ones are doing the best. And then you can hone in on those particular products or on the niche around those products. Then you can start to build your own brand. You can do this as many times as you want for as many products as you want. So let's say you have a product in health and wellness that's starting to do really well. You can start to build a brand around that product. Then you start to have a particular pet toy in your general store that starts to do well as well. It starts to blow up, it starts to gain a lot of traction, and you want to focus on that one too. Then you can start to build another brand around that product. So you're going to have two different brands. You can rinse and repeat this as many times as you want. And this doesn't just qualify for dropshipping. This also works with leveraging different services. Let's say, for example, you see that your design services are doing a lot better than copywriting services that you're offering. Then you can start to build an agency around your design services. So you can have a design agency. So as you can see, retail arbitrage is really a very lucrative business going into 2024. There's so much opportunity in this space. If you don't get into it right now, you might be missing out on a lot of money. Now, to narrow it down even further, if I had to choose between dropshipping and leveraging different services, honestly, I would go with dropshipping. There's just so much more freedom in it, and you have more opportunity to actually build a brand. But if you don't want to build a brand, you can still offer a bunch of different products in the form of a general store. You also have the ability to implement automation, which honestly, automation in itself is a game changer. Whether it be for dropshipping or any other service, if you can implement automation, I highly suggest you do. This is something that's really going to save you a ton of time. Something that's really going to give you a lot of time back to be able to reinvest into yourself, into your family, into your business, and continue growing. One huge note that I need everyone to remember is to keep going and keep pushing.
You got this.
Sometimes it's going to take a lot of testing. It's going to take a lot of product testing. It's going to take a lot of testing of different services to finally find what works. And you need to be patient and you need to trust the process. If you give up today, then let's say a week from now, a particular product or service could have come out that could have been your winning product or your winning service. So keep going. Make sure you stay motivated. I know sometimes it's hard because it can get discouraging, but Rome wasn't built in a day. I know this is a very cheesy and a very old saying, but it's true. You need to take your time. You need to build little by little. You need to build brick by brick, but not a brick and mortar store because those are obviously going away. Everything is in the e-commerce world now. So if you found this video enjoyable, if you found it helpful, if you liked it, please make sure you smash that like button. Also make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell notification so you don't miss out on any future videos. Huge thank you to everyone for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end. Pretty sure if you made it all the way to the end, you definitely did like this video. So make sure you smash that like button. Once again, my name is Mario with AutoDS, and I'll catch you all next time.